Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Business, and I am doing the overview of the Tier 10 Japanese cruiser, the Zhao. This baby, wow. What can I say that hasn't been said already, or that you don't pretty much assume about the ship if you don't have it yet? The Zhao, and by the way, this is a bit of a milestone video. 1 year ago today was the first time I uploaded a video of World of Warships, so yay! But been doing this content for a while, 70 plus videos, something like that, and pretty excited about that. But I haven't been playing much lately. The Division came out, it's awesome. I may post up a couple videos about that, but I have already done an overview of the Zhao, but that was about 8 months ago at the transition from closed beta to open beta, and I think I actually did mention in that video some of the nerfs that were happening to the Zhao that were anticipated. So health the health pool that it used to have was 44,800. Now it's 40,800. It does have a slightly slower rate of fire than back in closed beta, which is down to 4.4, I believe, from 4.8. I think that was the number, but it has about a 31-second turret traverse, and I do have expert marksman to make that speed up a little bit. The dispersion is bullshit. It's the biggest lie about this ship. Trust me. I'll go into that in a moment. And I'm going to be saying that a lot here. There's a lot of things I got to cover, and the max HE and AP damage are very respectable, but the fire chance with Demolition Expert is 22%. Just absolutely ridiculous. It does have a semi-decent set of secondaries too, so 20 rounds a minute from these little guys, and that's pretty good. Obviously with basic firing training that would go up a little bit as well. So the range is maxed out at 18.8, and as I get through the statistics here, we'll go over the upgrades. But it does have very poorly mounted torpedoes, but my god, they are ridiculously good. It does have the crutch of it being not only poorly mounted, but slightly shorter range than the other Japanese cruisers at 8 kilometers instead of 10. And that doesn't sound like much, but trust me that you would be wishing for these to be 10 kilometers a lot if you find yourself in situations where you are defending an area. You got to send torps as you're turning away. That 2 extra kilometers can make all the difference in the world. They have a huge amount of damage at 21,000 and massively fast. I mean, they're 76 knots. I mean, that's just incredible. They're the fastest torps in the game, and the AA complement is actually pretty solid. But if there were any improvements here, this ship would be grossly OP, and we'll possibly get into why it is here in a minute as well. The maneuverability with the speed flag is about 36.2 knots. It does have a pretty substantial turning circle radius. I mean, that's no joke there. 840 meters. I mean, this is a big ass ship, don't get me wrong, but wow. The thing that saves it, though, in the maneuverability aspect, aside from its incredible speed, is the rudder shift time. It's quite good, and I mean, for a ship this size, that is a very high level of maneuverability. And the surface detection is at 10.2-ish, and or about 10 kilometers actually. It's hard to read on here, and you can get that down just a little bit further with the camo, which I'll go into in a sec. Of course, main battery mod 1 for the first slot for the upgrade, and I do run the accuracy mod, which you'll see why the dispersion doesn't really make much sense there in a moment. Running the AA mod actually wouldn't be a bad idea at all. Make this a little bit more capable of defending itself when it absolutely needs to, which there seem to be a lot more carriers lately the last couple weeks. But there is the let's see, we have the range mod here. Crucial. None of the other options here are really worth it at all. You have to have that extra range, and that all ties into survivability. By having that extra buffer between your detection range when you fire, which is 15.1, 15.0, and having a max range of 18.8, you've got a lot more to work with there. And it's pretty interesting how how much more important it is at this tier than any other. And of course, I run the usual suspects for the 4th and 5th slot, and I do run the concealment mod as well for the last slot. Now let's jump over to the captain skills here. These are all pretty much required. So situational awareness, of course, ties in with the Invisifier. You have to know when you're spotted, and it's also crucial because of the fact that the destroyers at this tier can get so close to you without you noticing them. And I do run Expert Marksman. That's really up to you. I don't think anything else in the 2-point category is worthwhile. I do run Superintendent, but Vigilance is probably the next thing I'm going to go with once I get enough points for that. You could run that or Vigilance, interchangeable really. They're both excellent. Demolition Expert and of course Concealment Expert. Everything else is just icing on the cake. I would say the only really required one would be High Alert could work as well, but anyways, yeah, that or Vigilance. I don't think you could go wrong. And of course, adding the camo there brings it down to 9.7 kilometer detection. Now that we have the stats out of the way, let's just start off by saying the Zao is OP as shit. There. I mean, cat's out of the bag now. So if you pay attention to the grouping of the shells throughout this video, perhaps you'll be with me in asking, where the hell is the 140 meter plus dispersion? Yeah, I know I have the accuracy mod on, but there's no way in hell that this thing has 140 meters of dispersion, ever. I mean, it is completely normal to get 10, 11, or all 12 shells to hit on the target. Even against some cruisers, sometimes I've done that. Obviously, the larger the target, the easier it is, but it's not uncommon to get 7, 8, 9, 10 hits against destroyers, too. It's just amazing, and damn, I wish I had AP for that salvo. That would have been so good. Maybe it would have... I don't know, I definitely would have done a ton of damage there, and that's going to happen, of course, quite a few more times throughout the course of this video. You just almost always have HE loaded, but when the opportunity arises, the AP is ridiculously good. So when you combine laser accurate guns with a high fire chance of 22%, and consider that, all right? So you have battleships at this tier with a 34, 36, whatever percent chance of starting a fire, right? You have the Zao with 19% default and 22% with Demolition Expert, which it'd be kind of silly for most battleship builds to run a Demolition Expert build, but the Montana actually can benefit from that quite a bit, and that's something I think that's starting to catch on now. And I've discussed this at length with Kami and a few others as well. The best way to do a division, if you're going to bring battleships, is one Yamato, strictly shooting AP, never deviates. One Montana, strictly shoots HE, never deviates, and the Zao. That combination would be astonishingly effective. But again, I don't think anybody really wants to bring their Montana because, you know, it's not a Yamato and it's not a Zao, it's not a Shimakaze or a carrier. So you're, for the most part, going to put your team at a bit of a disadvantage. But honestly, if you're using HE with the Montana, it's actually damn deadly. You're going to get Witherer, just like the Zao, quite a bit, along with Arsonist too. But, I mean, just look at how stupidly good these... oh my god. Like, you don't even really have to try to get all these shells on target. It's just amazing. And there's an enemy rune over here. And I'm going to go ahead and fire right over these mountains with AP and check this damage out. Nice. Now, I've already switched back to HE. I thought he would have turned sooner, so I could have actually done a lot more here if I stuck with AP. But I do about 20,000 damage and follow it up with another nearly 9,000 damage with HE. That is incredibly good. Now, this North Carolina, I had been actually chasing him for about 2.5 minutes by this point, and he had 42,000 health when I started this, and I've been at this health now up until this point. I've been bouncing his shells the entire time and evading shots and stuff like that because it's so damn maneuverable. But I citadeled him because the ship is capable of it. But you know, it's just the overall combination of mobility, stealth, penetration, dispersion, you know, the overall damage ability of the ship is just astonishing, really. And welcome to a typical tier 10 match, by the way. Yeah, that is a shitload of torpedoes, and that's hardly the worst of it. Because when you get into a match with 4 Shimikazes on the enemy team, been there, done that, along with a gearing, along with I'm pretty sure there was a Kagero in that match as well. It's just, it's unnecessary. But I'm pretty certain that at some point they're going to have to institute a DD limitation at these tiers, or maybe through all the tiers. It's really out of hand, just the overwhelming number of them. But, you know, at least at high tier, there should be some consideration. Lower tier, possibly not. But also, pro tip, if you're bringing to North Carolina, don't do this. Really bad way to play it. So on this match, I'm heading back. We have an Iowa. You could see him up in the top there. He's just been getting harassed by this team. He's been trying to hold the fort down on the east. And I come back with another teammate as well. Engage an enemy Shimikaze here. Launch my torps just in case. You never know what's going to happen. And I don't know if I'm ever going to have the chance to use them at this point, because it looks like a lot of ships are coming this way, and I'm none too excited about it. I get a ton of damage on the Shimikaze there, and of course he's running the what is it, survivability expert or whatever with the additional health. Very, very common for the high tier destroyers to run that. Enemy Hindenburg here, very, very dangerous ship, and I pretty much half his health, but that's because I was prepared at the right time with AP. Now, the Hindenburg is thoroughly capable of putting a Zao in its place. It really is. It has a significantly better rate of fire, very high penetration on the AP, and is, from what I've seen and what I played on a test server a while back, overall it's very comparable to the Zao in terms of the overall capability. The HE is total crap by comparison. I mean, I've watched a number of replays, and I still have footage from like 2 months ago that I've been sitting on for a while, of Hindenburgs strictly using AP and doing 150,000, 175,000 damage. I mean, it's just amazing what you can do over and over again with that ship. But the Des Moines, the Hindenburg, if you get yourself in the wrong situation, these guys will make you pay like nothing else will. And I say that because you can avoid getting into fights with an enemy battleship. You have the time to be able to maneuver out of the way, but a lot of times cruiser versus cruiser, it's a surprise. You know, it's something that it just happens because you two are in the same area doing the same thing, and boom, there you go. You both have broadsides to each other. And you know, I've been in a situation against an enemy Des Moines where we traded citadels over and over until I eventually killed him, and then I died shortly thereafter due to his teammates just finishing me off. But trading 17,000 damage salvos is not a good way to find your yourself in. I mean, it sucks. It's not that fun. And very tense, though, I'll say that much. Kami helps me out here with this Hindenburg, though. You could see his shells come in there, and in a second he's going to switch over to the blueberries as well and fire his AP, and see mine come in, do a decent amount of damage considering the angle, but 75% accuracy on that salvo is pretty damn good, and there we go. Kami's finished him off. Now, this is an interesting combination as well of the stealth and the ability. So I'm still detected. I'm going to be detected for a little bit longer because, you know, the 20-second flare up when you fire, and I'm just waiting for that to go down. I'm trying to figure out what my course of action here is, because I have a North Carolina coming and an Otago. So skip ahead a little bit, and enemy Otago is right at my detection limit, and I'm just waiting for it to trigger. decide to go ahead and fire anyways. He turns in towards me a little bit, and got shells coming in from Kami there. Now, just watching him closely, and I'm keeping myself angled towards the North Carolina. He starts to turn out, and I know he's probably dumping torps. I've got shells coming in from the North Carolina. I triple citadel his ass and sink him. So pretty good damage there. And I can only wonder if he had full health, just how much damage that would have been. But oh well. I have the North Carolina, who is now within torp range, and I'm feeling confident about these. I send AP in at his side, do a pretty solid amount of damage. And remember, that's only half my turrets. So if I had the other 4 on him, I could have done a lot of damage to him. And this is basically a mini battleship. I get a torp hit on him and do about 12,200 damage. Get a little bit more damage there with HE. And I should be able to get this salvo off. This is pretty damn risky, but I bring my side to him, get the AP loaded, send it right in, and finish him off. Poor North Carolina's men. Now, that's actually, watching that again, I don't know if I would have played that quite the same way, because with a ship like this, it actually can lend itself to feeding the player with an overabundance of confidence. There have been a few situations where I'm like, oh yeah, the ship will be fine, it'll get me out of the situation. Not always. You know, this ship will take damage just like a Kuma, an Omaha, something like that. It'll get wrecked. Now here's a really good salvo. If you've ever tried to face off against enemy like Russian destroyers, they're fast as shit. So just getting the right lead on them in the first place is a challenge. And you know, if you can get them while they're distracted with an enemy, and you know, that's even better. But it's actually pretty damn hard to hit those guys for the most part. Now, speaking of an overabundance of confidence, that's basically what you're going to see here. I find myself in a situation that literally at any point could have turned south instantly and been my destruction. But I'm milking this spot right here because I do not have enough information. I really want some sort of scout plane over this area so I can know if there's a destroyer on the other side, which is what I'm anticipating. So that's why I'm really going this slow. There's an enemy Des Moines that's relatively close. There's the North Carolina that's in firing range. So I'm going to start taking some pot shots at him, but instead hit the island. Now, I'm coming out just a little bit here, see if I could get my back turrets into it, and I am risking quite a lot here because of the fact that I don't have enough information about the other side of this island. So I do start to turn back in. The only way a destroyer is going to be able to get torps on me at this point, considering my angle and my speed, is if he's right in front of me. So I'm pretty confident that I'm going to be able to get out of this situation. But enemy Des Moines shows up, and no, you don't do that. That's a bad way to play. Bad. He takes 4 citadels, a shitload of damage there, and he stays where he is. Poor guy. But obviously I was spotted there for some period of time before he even went over that, went behind that island. He should have been turning out towards the mid at that point. Would have been a lot safer for him. But on the other hand, I didn't really pay attention to the fact that there was a damn Amagi that close to me. And panic torps, anybody? So I'm scared shitless thinking that he's going to bring his turrets around and just citadel the hell out of me, because he was certainly in the position to do so, but not necessarily considering that there are other ships to the south as well. Now, I get him with the torp, but there's an enemy Fubuki there, right? And the Mayhan's still launching torps. And not only is the Fubuki there, but so is the Shimikaze, and so is the Udaloi. Holy shit, what a bad situation to be in. My heart jumped up in my throat at this point. I was already in an intense situation. Oh my god, there's a fucking Yamato right there. This just keeps getting worse and worse. And yeah, at this point I was I was pretty much like, well, that's game. Sorry, guys. And it gets a little worse because I have the attention of the Yamato, and unfortunately he has AP loaded. I prioritize the Shimikaze because you've got to do that. You get whatever damage you can on them whenever they're... Son of a bitch. Man, Yamatos. It's always a Yamato. Whatever angle you're at, boom, penetrated. So I can laugh a little bit at least at the North Carolina shells. I mean, it's still a dangerous ship, of course, but the Yamato will Citadel you regardless. And so in the previous match where I had the stealth and maneuverability put me in a position to be able to inflict damage, here it's the reverse. The stealth and maneuverability put me in the position to be able to mitigate damage, and really, I should have been dead a while ago. You know, as far as all those, having all those destroyers so close, and, you know, I was spotted for a decent amount of time there. I should have been hit more. Having the Amagi show up on my side, I shouldn't have had that happen. You know, that was a mistake on my part. I had tunnel vision. The Yamato should have killed me there, and it just, the ship squeaked out of it. And if a ship can save you from yourself, you know it's pretty goddamn good. And, you know, that's what this ship is fully capable of. You know, using the detection range to maximum effect in the situation where you have hard cover in the form of islands and mountains, that sort of thing. It really can make all the difference between being the last man standing in the given situation. And by the way, this shot was awesome. Like, really just right around that outcropping and boom, secured the kill. But I was pretty happy with that. So, I'm not gonna lie. It's late. It's actually, at this point, it's early. If that doesn't give you a clue as to how late this actually is, holy shit. It's 5 a.m. and it's gonna be a while before I can even get this finished up and produced, because I usually have to run the production 2 or 3 times in order to make sure that the quality is good, and that takes about 20 minutes for a video this length, as well as various other things as far as uploading is concerned. It's going to take a while, but I'm tired as shit, so the following may be a bit loopy, forgive me. The Zao is overpowered. Playing it almost makes me feel dirty, and this match here really emphasizes that because of the fact that the enemy battleships, I'm not shooting at them, I'm straight up picking on them. Like, this ship is a bully in the way that the Yamato could never be, and that's saying something. The fact that I can just sit back and dump salvo after salvo after salvo of HE into these guys with zero recourse on their part is just astonishing. I mean, this isn't the least bit interesting or compelling at all. This is boring ass gameplay, but this is how it's supposed to be played, because the amount of damage that those battleships can do if you're spotted, if you're too close, is exceptional. I mean, you're a one-shot kill in some situations, of course. And I think the game at this point really just ends at tier 8. It's just not even remotely interesting or compelling to continue advancing down the lines. Like, I've played 1 or 2 matches in the Benson. I don't really care about playing it anymore. Like, I was looking forward to it, and then I really thought about it for a while. Be like, well, what the hell am I going to do by advancing? I might as well just continue to play the Mahan, the Farragut, you know, other ships. I don't really care about high tier, and the problem to me is that I don't have any suggestion as to what they can do to change it. That's actually kind of shitty. That's really scary to me. You know, as much as I want the Hindenburg and the Des Moines and the Shimikaze and even the Gearing, it's just not terribly interesting to me to, you know, there's like, whatever, I got the Zao, what else do I need? And that's not really what should be happening here at all. And so when you look at any given part of the Zao, other than, you know, its average AA defense, there's no real area it doesn't do not just well in, but excel at. I mean, as far as stealth firing. You have weird lack of diminishing HE returns, which I don't quite understand how, like, what was it? There was an enemy Yamato that had like 12,000 HP. It'd been burning the whole game, just assaulted left and right by everybody on the map. I think even a few of his own teammates. And I nailed him with, I think it was 11 hits and 9,000 HE damage when he had 12,000 HP left. Like, that doesn't happen with other ships. The like what is it, the Mogami, for instance, you know that first salvo with the Mogami is good for like 7, 12, 13,000 even HE damage, but the subsequent salvos are going to do less and less. That just doesn't really seem to affect the Zao very much. And maybe it's just the quality of these shells, their capability overall, but it just doesn't seem that fair. So again, you have that HE stuff, the fire chance, which is completely ridiculous. You have the maneuverability, the stealth, the accuracy, and redonkulous torpedoes, assuming anybody gets close enough. It's so stupidly good that it actually, in my opinion, defeats the purpose of not only battleships, but pretty much playing anything else. I mean, how else can I put it? It's actually, as fun as it is to play, it actually isn't. Like, I just don't get any joy out of playing it, and that sounds odd. It's a good ship. It's pretty much the best ship in the game, but it's not fun for me to play it. And maybe it's just an inherent level of fair play that's in me that I don't think it feels right, and I don't know what to suggest. I mean, you can't really nerf it too much, because at this level, even a small nerf actually has pretty big repercussions. So exactly how can they approach this, and later on with battle cruisers and stuff like that, how are they going to manage balancing the ship? Beats me. But in the meantime, I'll still play it and still get a shitload of damage. So until that happens, and I do suggest you do that as well, because that's the only way they're going to change it. So on Sunday, I'll be streaming at 5 p.m. Eastern, and feel free to drop by. I'd love to hear you guys talk about this video and what you think about the Zao and the overall balance and direction of the game. But I may start throwing up some Division gameplay, and my Warship streams will be much more limited in scope, only about 10 to 12 games. I will definitely be playing a shit ton of the Division, may even have some content on here for that later. But hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave some feedback, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.